Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream for Wednesday, 11/11/20. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. We have a lot of veterans in our group, believe it or not. The GI Bill does not go as far as one might think, and a lot of our members are veterans or even active duty people. So, salute to the veterans. Quick announcement, folks. We are doing a town hall with Matt Taibbi, who's a writer at Rolling Stone. A lot of you may know. Probably all of you have read his stuff at one point or another, whether you realize it or not. Very nice guy. Also, Catherine Austin Fitz, who is a former board member of Sallie Mae, believe it or not. She now is a very strong ally of ours, and she is one of the good ones. She gives me some hope that not all is bad with this country when people who, in fact, sat on the board of Sallie Mae have come around to supporting us strongly. So we'll be with her. Also, Tom Borgers. Tom is another very good friend of ours, good guy. Tom, you may have seen Tom. Top story on 60 Minutes, actually. He was the lead investigator into the subprime home mortgage crisis of a decade ago. So yeah, folks, we're doing this town hall on Friday, and if you look up, maybe over there, possibly down there, you will see the link to register for this. It's a thing. It's free, by the way, but you do have to register. We're doing this with the CUNY, the College of University in New York System, CUNY. Colleges, so thanks to them, and I think you will enjoy it. It's very hard-hitting, but I'll say no more. Just go to that link at Eventbrite and register for it, and so this will be not this Friday, but next Friday at 3 p.m. I believe it'll be about an hour, 50 minutes long or so, so I'm looking forward to that. So folks, yesterday I did a live stream saying that I was worried. Well, today I'm doing a live stream telling you that I'm even more worried. And by the way, for those of you who are new, welcome. We are the oldest, largest, and really pretty much only strictly citizens group out there in the country actually fighting for student loan justice. We've been around, as I said, since 2005. We've been featured top story on 60 Minutes in the Los Angeles Times, New York Times, Yahoo, NPR, PBS, Fox News, you name it. But suffice it to say, we know a few things about this student loan problem. And we've seen it from many, many sides, by and large, the outside. And so why I am worried. Okay, first of all, we started a petition in March calling for the cancellation of all federally owned student loans by executive order. Up until the coronavirus hit, nobody was talking about canceling student loans by executive order. A lot of people were talking about canceling student loans by legislation. But I'm here to tell you, canceling student loans by legislation is nonsense. Congress has to pay for loan cancellation, which means raising money, giving that money to the lenders so that they can cancel loans. That's just not going to work, guys. That's untenable. It's BS. It will never work. What will work is that the president has all the power he needs to cancel all federally owned, not all student loans, but all federally owned student loans by executive order. So this is 85% of all student loans. So our petition was a voice in the wilderness for months and months and months. We started growing, to the point where at one point a month or so ago, we had over 500,000 signatures, and we really started to blow up in the media. We were reported on by Yahoo News, by Fox News, by Fox News Business, by Newsweek, Heavy.com, and dozens of local television stations, and a couple other national ones too I'm not thinking of. So that was really good. But then what happened was that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer appropriated our concept for canceling student loans by executive order. They introduced a Senate resolution calling on the president to cancel up to $50,000 in student loan debt. And they couched that proposal in a few other sort of weaselly type words. Now, I'm thrilled. I could not be happier that our concept, that is canceling student loans by executive order rather than the nonsense way, which is through Congress, is finally being taken seriously by Congress and other political leaders. And I'm thrilled about that. But folks, unfortunately, we've been doing this for and by the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. I'm very happy to respond to them in kind. I'm very worried, folks. We've watched the student loan swamp operate for over 15 years now. And by the way, swamp is not a partisan word. I was writing articles 13 years ago talking about draining the student loan swamp. So I'm going to take that one back, if I may. But we've seen these people operate for many years. And this proposal that Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren trotted out right as we were going massively viral in the media, by the way, which is, it is what it is. Good problem to have, but kind of off-putting that this $50,000 proposal came up when it did, because it stole a lot of our thunder. But thunder aside, up to $50,000 in loan cancellation could literally mean anything, folks. It could mean 1 penny. It could mean zero. It could mean nothing. That's still up to $50,000, right? And more than that, the Schumer-Warren proposal is couched in a bunch of nonsense that gives, and the bottom line is, what Schumer and Elizabeth Warren are proposing gives the Department of Education any number of avenues to find ways to not cancel student loans. So we have a bunch of loan cancellation programs and rules in place right now as we speak. Public service loan forgiveness, that's a loan cancellation program. The Department of Education is administering that so as to deny 99% of the people trying for that program. So 99% of the people are not getting it. And in fact, they're being disqualified and left owing far, far more than had they never even tried in the first place, if they had just made payments on the original repayment schedule. 99%. Similarly, there's a pretty long-standing rule at this point called the Borrower Defense to Repayment Rule, Borrower Defense Rule, where people who get lied to by their colleges should be able to get their loans totally canceled, totally discharged. And lo and behold, there are hundreds of thousands of people in the country who indeed were lied to provably by their colleges. And the Department of Education is finding every way possible to not cancel those loans. Like, last I checked, exactly 2 people out of over 200,000 people in total had actually gotten their loans canceled. And this has been a soap opera for years and years and years. Importantly, going back well before Donald Trump or Betsy DeVos were in office. Donald Trump has been a disaster on student loans. Betsy DeVos has given the keys to the henhouse to the fox on student loans. Of that, there is no doubt, and we freely admit. But we are a nonpartisan group, by the way, very strictly nonpartisan. Having said that, Obama was not good either. Almost no loans got canceled under President Obama either. This is the way the Department of Education operates, regardless of who is president, regardless who is Secretary of Education. So when I see these proposals like what we're seeing now, and there's kind of 2 in the ether. They're talking about a $10,000 loan cancellation by executive order. They're also talking about an up to $50,000 loan cancellation, which at this moment in time, and I'm sure it'll change, means Congress, that first way that will never work, where Congress has to raise money give it to the lending system so they can cancel loans, etc. So, folks, we have seen dirty tricks come and go, come and go, come and go again. And this has all the hallmarks of looking like just another Washington, D.C. swamp ploy. My best guess is that ultimately we might see an executive order for student loans for, let's say $10,000. Probably won't be that high. It'd probably be strings attached, but whatever. That is completely unacceptable, people. I don't care if you owe $10,001 and you like this plan. Chances are it won't happen for you. It won't be even close to $10,000. But even if it was, guys, I'm sorry, that's unacceptable. This is a catastrophically, and I do mean catastrophically, failed lending system by all reasonable metrics and measures. The lending system is done. It's toast. It has got to be put down. And all things being equal, if we were to sit back and watch and do nothing, then we would get some lame, swampy loan cancellation program, whether by Congress or whether by executive order, that ultimately would not help almost anyone, including you. And please comment if you have anything to say about this. I'm happy to read your comments on the air. But it would be nonsense, folks, and would only serve to perpetuate this unconstitutional, indefensible, predatory, life-wrecking, nationally threatening lending program. We've seen this story played by Washington, D.C. over and over and over and over again, and we're not doing it again. We have a couple comments here. Hey, Debbie Westmoreland Baker is here with us tonight. She can tell you all about the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So Debbie says, way back regarding the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, the feds are making too much money off of us, probably since the early 2000s, done by design. And I bet it will be taxed if they give anything. Right. Exactly, Debbie. I'm glad that you're feeling what I'm feeling. And we're not stupid, folks. We are the people, and many of us have been living under these loans for many decades. And we know BS when we smell it. I know it when I see it, because I can sort of prove it because I've been living and breathing this issue for many years. But I think even people, and Debbie knows a fair bit about it too, but rely on your instincts, folks. Maybe you don't study the student loan system. I get that. 99.99% of the people don't. But I think all of us have pretty good sense of smell at this point. And, if you don't agree, if you think, Joe Biden's loan proposal and Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren's loan proposal is going to be nirvana, it's going to be manna from heaven, it's going to solve everything, please comment. Let's have that debate. I like to debate things rather than just be here a talking head, speaking down to everybody. But folks, barring anybody stepping up to contest that claim, please take my word for it. We've been doing this for a very long time, and I can smell all the tricks out there. And what we have seen so far looks like a very bad trick. And, the thing that really worries me today is that right now, as we speak, finally, all across the mainstream media, people are finally talking about canceling loans by executive order. So don't get me wrong, that's a great thing. It started with us, it started with our petition. But for example, today, Yahoo News is running a piece saying, hey, the new thing is loan cancellation by executive order. Now, as I said, we are a strictly nonpartisan, fiercely independent citizens group. We don't have any special secret handshakes. We don't do deals with either the Democrats or the Republicans. We like our position on our perch, looking down very objectively on this lending system. And so a lot of times we don't get the credit that we deserve in the media, and we have gotten a lot of credit. Don't get me wrong. We've been featured top story on 60 Minutes, and I could go down a very admirable list of achievements that we've made in the media. But, there is also swamp media out there. So, for example, today, this Yahoo piece says, oh, loan cancellation by executive order sounds like the latest, greatest thing. And we interviewed with that reporter from Yahoo News on March 3rd, I believe, where I said, hey, Artie, and I told her all about the petition that we had started. I told her all about our, what at the time was a very novel and unique proposal for loan cancellation by executive order. And I reminded Artie of this fact when our petition really started taking off. But I got nothing back from her at all, like literally no response at all. And so as recently as like, I think 3 weeks ago, I sent her an email saying, Artie, what's going on? I mean, we don't clamor. We're not like attention hounds where we bend over backwards just to try and get credit for something. We really don't do that, folks. We're looking to solve this problem. But when I get interviewed, like grilled, like put under the microscope for hours by the Yahoo reporters over there, and I tell them exactly about the concept of canceling student loans by executive order, one would expect that when they finally started writing about canceling student loans by executive order, they would connect the dots and we would be the people that they would want to talk to, if nothing else from the citizen's perspective, et cetera, et cetera. Well, today, in that article in Yahoo, they do interview student loan advocacy groups, but they definitely don't interview us. Now, the group that they did interview, and there was a laundry list of who's who of Washington, D.C. think tanks and that sort of thing. But the sort of grassroots group that they interviewed was a group called the Student Debt Crisis. Now, and I hate to talk bad, or really I hate to talk even at all about other sort of grassroots groups out there, but I have to tell you guys, Student Debt Crisis is not what they seem to be. They came around about 10 years ago, shortly, like right around the time of Occupy Wall Street, okay? A guy named Robert Applebaum was running it, and out of nowhere, they all of a sudden had like hundreds of thousands and maybe even millions of members. And we were like, what the, whoa, where did these guys come from? And they were calling for the cancellation of student loans, and they looked great, and they sounded great, and it was like, wow, what's going on with this group? Well, over time, what this group began to do was very surreptitiously, and sometimes not surreptitiously, go to great lengths to kill the push for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans, which was our primary goal. So it kind of got ugly, I have to say. And at one point, I got into a shouting match with Robert Applebaum. I could not understand why their group was playing such underhanded, dirty trick-like games. And the legislation that they did propose, I could go on for hours about this group, but the legislation they did propose was nonsense. Yeah, it called for loan cancellation, but the funding mechanism was nonsense. Certainly wasn't by executive order. It was the loan forgiveness part of that for federal loans was just complete bullshit. The part of that, the part of the bill that was not bullshit was a provision whereby the government would have had to pay private student loan companies more than full book value for their horrible private loans. Like, these are shitty loans, pardon my French. They wouldn't be able to get more than 20 cents on the dollar for in reality. But these lending companies really want the government to bail them out. And they want them to pay them not just principal and interest for their shitty loans, but principal, interest, plus a premium. And Natalia Abrams, who is the person they interviewed today in the Yahoo article and who was high up in that group at the time, the last actual conversation I had with Natalia was her trying to convince me very strongly that these private lenders deserved to be paid more than full book value for their terrible loans. So that just, something was off with this group from the get-go. Now here's the thing. Some of our members looked into this group, and lo and behold, we found that at least one of their administrators had come from something called The DCI Group, and I urge you all to Google this group, the DCI Group. They are a lobbying firm in Washington, D.C. that is famous, should I say infamous, for creating fake grassroots groups on behalf of banks, I think insurance companies, if I'm not mistaken, tobacco companies, big oil, and stuff like that. This is what they do. In fact, this group, the DCI Group, was credited with doing a stealth lobbying campaign in the Senate that ultimately killed legislation that would have prevented the subprime home mortgage meltdown. This is the type of group that the DCI Group is. They're not working for the people. They're working for the banks, big oil, big tobacco, etc. And we found that one of the administrators of what at the time I think was called Forgive Student Loans to Stimulate the Economy or something like that. It was when Robert Applebaum was there. So this group is dirty, guys. Administrators had come from the war room of the DCI Group. Okay, so hopefully my point is made. We brought this, we confronted Robert and the group about this fact, and very shortly thereafter, Robert Applebaum was nowhere to be found. To this day, this was years ago. I don't know where Robert has gone, what he could possibly be doing these days. No idea. But this group, Forgive Student Loan Debt to Stimulate the Economy, or whatever they were called, went dark for a minute, and then they popped up under the leadership of Natalia Abrams under this new name, Student Debt Crisis. And, you know, I honestly don't know what this group is now doing, but based on past history and based on everything I've seen them do and don't do, and I don't pay that close attention to them, but it would appear to me that very strongly they are still some sort of AstroTurf organization playing games. And don't get me wrong, they've endeared themselves to Elizabeth Warren and MoveOn.org, and you see them in the media frequently. But every time I see their name, quite frankly, my skin crawls, because I saw their history. I saw them operating up close and personal. And so when I see this group, this nonsense, fake AstroTurf type group, now jumping on the bandwagon for student loan cancellation by executive order, that is a sure sign to me that the fix is in. So folks, I am worried. I am beyond worried. In fact, I myself am very convinced that we're just seeing more swamp nonsense. That we'll get this lame-ass $10,000, maybe less, who knows, write down of student loans, which will help nobody. But who it really helps is the student loan system and their henchmen. They're the swamp creatures that swim among and around them, and whose only goal is to perpetuate this catastrophically failed, nationally threatening lending system. So folks, I'm worried. I'm very worried. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm actually not that worried, because the one thing we can count on from the swamp to do is hurt the citizens, not help them. So the truth will come out. It will rise to the top, hopefully sooner rather than later. But you know what is most important, and what gives me the most hope, is that people like you and normal people like me can smell the fix, smell the bullshit, pardon my French. I'm smelling it like through both nostrils. If I could smell through my ears, it would smell that way as well. So forewarned is forearmed. And the thing that gives me the most hope is the fact that we, the people, not these fake groups out there claiming to be fighting for the citizens, but the citizens themselves, which is us, hold ultimate and absolute power over this lending system. So we're going to have to wade our way through a lot of nonsense BS going forward, folks. Hopefully the media will see. Hopefully the media will do the right thing, And to Yahoo's credit, they did report on our petition. Unfortunately, it wasn't RT Swarmavorthon or whatever her name is that reported on our petition. It was a different part of Yahoo News that reported on it. So we'll see. We'll see what the media does with this down the road. But if we keep finding ourselves being purposely cut out of the dialogue, then we'll know. That will be a very good data point for us all. Hey, Michelle Capoon says, those groups always get on my case when I post for our group. It's what they do, Michelle. It's what they do. It is, unfortunately, the lay of the land that we now live in. That is the environment. We can hate it, and I do hate it, and I will stop at nothing to point it out wherever I can. But we've got to deal with it, so it's kind of going to be a reality. And I hope that all the normal, living, breathing people out there who could give two shits about what goes on behind the scenes, I hope the truth and the ethics and the honesty of what I am saying gets through to you all, and that you won't take all that media nonsense at face value. Hopefully the media has come around. The media has been good to us over the years. As I said, we've been featured on top story on 60 Minutes and even in Yahoo News. And I know I'm bashing on Arthi right now. And, I'm not saying anything to you that I didn't already say to her. I sent her an email saying pretty much what I just said in far fewer words. I said, Arthi, the truth is important. Readers depend on the truth. And when the media plays these Beltway swamp games and interviews these swampy people and puts out swampy stories, people see through it over time. So I can only hope that Arthi has been played by these people rather than is a key player herself. That's my fear. I sort of doubt that. I would hope that's not true, but the warning signs are there. So forewarned is forearmed, folks. The thing that is most important for us all right now, you sitting there, me, everybody with student loans who actually wants to get the loans gone, is to grow our petition. So if you go to change.org/cancel student loans, you will see our petition. We've got 738,000 people on it now. So that's a very good thing. And by the way, another group that we've been pretty good with up to this point, the Debt Collective, they were big enough to retweet our petition, which we appreciate greatly. I don't see any of the problems that I've mentioned earlier with student debt crisis with the Debt Collective. And I know this is inside baseball to you all, but it's kind of important for me to get it out. Student debt crisis is just completely in the tank. They're not, something is very not right with that group for the reasons I mentioned. The Debt Collective, they have been very unwavering in their calls since Occupy Wall Street, maybe a little bit before, that they definitely want to cancel loans, and they want to do more than that. They want to cancel medical debt, and they've got a bigger agenda than just student loans. One thing that, and I have to say this as well, one thing that really bothers me about the Debt Collective is that they initiated a student loan buyback program called the Rolling Jubilee, where they took money from donations and they used that money to buy back student loan debt for pennies on the dollar and cancel that debt. Well, that kind of sounds like a pretty cool thing. Like, wow, that's very novel and unique. But the fact of the matter is that the loans that they bought were private loans that had gone way past their statute of limitations. It was completely uncollectible paper, and the borrowers whose debt they canceled through this, they didn't care. They probably never maybe even made a payment on the loans, certainly had forgotten about the loans years ago. And so at the end of the day, this Rolling Jubilee only served to feed the beast. It didn't give anybody real relief. But what it did do is give these disgusting student loan collection companies a little bit of money by selling their garbage paper to someone who otherwise they would not have been able to sell it to. So I was very unimpressed with the Debt Collective for doing that, but whatever. That's, to me, is just kind of a gimmicky thing. We have not noticed any deep, dark, hidden motivations with the Debt Collective. They seem to be pretty much on the up and up. Certainly, their founder, Andrew Ross at NYU, we've been very copacetic and collegial, and we work together where we can. And on getting 100% of federal student loans canceled by executive order, certainly we and the Debt Collective can agree completely. So that's a good thing. Having said that, you never know. I always sort of assume the worst. I expect the worst on this playing field, which is the student loan universe, because most of the time that's what it winds up being. So whatever. But you've been warned, you've been forearmed, and I hope that you will realize that the true power with this lending system resides with us, you and me, and all the borrowers out there. That $2 trillion outstanding student loan debt, when you consider both federal and private student loans, that money will come first from us. That gold comes from us. In other words, we hold that gold. And you know what the golden rule is? He who owns the gold makes the rules. And that is very, very true. And that is our power, and that is our strength. And I can only hope that you sitting there will realize that, all this stuff does not happen in a vacuum, folks. What we do matters. What this group, including you, does matters. I really doubt that there would be even a hint of a whisper of people in the media, in Congress, talking about canceling student loans by executive order, but for our efforts. And this book is not written, folks. What we as a group can manage to get done between now and the end of the year, with our bankruptcy legislation, but most importantly, between now and January 20th, when the next president, whoever that may be, I'm just going to say the next president, probably Biden, but whatever. I'm going to say the next president swears on the Holy Bible. What happens between now and then has a lot to do with how hard we fight. So, folks, please realize this is not a watch it happen movement, guys. If you watch it happen, you will see something that you don't like. I guarantee you that. If we make it happen, we will get what we need. And what we need at this point is total federal student loan cancellation by executive order. It's the only way it's going to happen. And the return of bankruptcy protections to all of the loans that the president cannot cancel directly by executive order. So we absolutely need your help. You need to help us. We need you. You need us. We're in this together, folks. So please, please, please go to the petition, and you will see like 5 easy things that you can do to help grow it. We're coming up on 1 million signatures now, folks. That's good. But we could and should have 20, 30 million signatures on this petition. Of the 55 million student loan borrowers out there in the country, 80% of them were never going to be able to repay their loans. And this was true before the pandemic. So we need to find these people. You know them. Find them. Please get them on our petition. It will help tremendously. And with that, folks, I've gone a little longer. I really don't like doing this inside baseball talk, but it's, I guess, good to get it off my chest. You heard it here first. We will never let you down. We will never play secret games behind the scenes. We will never do secret deals with people. We are as transparent as it gets. We survive only and totally on donations from normal people like you, and that is it. And that's the way it's always been. That's the way it will always be. I hope that you appreciate that fact, and I hope that what I say will carry a little more weight with you going forward, because we need your help. So let's get this petition on Hot Wheels, folks, whatever it takes. Change.org/cancel student loans. Spend an hour a day for the next 70 days if you have to. If you've got some time on your hands, please use that time effectively. The most effective thing that you can do on the student loan issue is to help us grow our petition. So go there, change.org/cancel student loans. Look down on the list. You'll see 5 easy things you can do right now tonight. Do them, and think about what else you can do. Don't be limited by what we suggest that you do. Go off on your own. Be creative. Be clever. You have no idea how important you are. So, good luck, everybody. Please check back on a daily basis. Good luck. Godspeed. And God bless, people. Let's do this.